I got a comment on one of my last videos with a great question. Backbench Politics wrote, "I've been enjoying your content. Curious to know your thoughts on how to scale. Did you secure contracts knowing you were unable to deliver without hiring new people, then hire? Or did you preemptively take a pay cut as a founder to hire someone, then find contracts to justify their hire?" Basically, what Backbench is asking is, what comes first, the work or the team? Classic chicken and the egg entrepreneurship question. Entrepreneurship. That is so good that this video is all about scaling a video production company and answering that question. I have very strong feelings about this because it cuts right to the anxiety every founder feels. What if I land more work than I can handle? What if I hire someone and the work dries up? So I'm gonna give you the answer right now instead of waiting until the end of the video like most YouTubers. The answer is, first, you create demand. Second, you hire to meet that demand. So ideally, the work comes first.
I like your attitude. You're hired.
Here's a simple example. I mean, imagine you're planning a wedding and you invite about 200 guests, but you don't send out an RSVP, so you don't actually know how many guests are coming. So the venue hires 100 workers to handle the event. On the day of the wedding, only 10 show up, but you have 100 workers. Well, that doesn't make much sense.
That doesn't make sense.
RSVP is telling you what the demand is. So let's say 10 people RSVP, and you know that a few weeks before. Then you can hire one worker to meet that demand, not 100. But the video production business is a little unique. So the rest of this video is how to make scaling stupid simple and show you how to go from just you to two. Hire yourself first. And I'm not just like giving you some fluffy mindset talk here. You literally have to hire yourself. That means if you're a solopreneur right now and you haven't been treating yourself as an employee, you need to start. Or if you're starting a production company, you need to think of yourself as leaving whatever job or jobs you're currently doing and committing to working full-time in your own company. Then you commit to paying yourself the same amount every 2 weeks. That's your first real test as a founder. Because if you can't do that, adding another person to your payroll is just making you broke. I've seen people make this mistake over and over again. Stability for yourself comes before responsibility for somebody else. Just like putting on your mask before you help others on an airplane. There's also a side benefit to going all in. Terror is the most fantastic motivational tool. I quit a good job with 2 little kids at home to help start Early Light Media, but I learned something from years of skateboarding that applies here too. You gotta commit. If you hesitate, you fall. So at some point you decide you're all in, and the leap of going from you to two is going to require your full attention. But don't just quit your job like that. I want you to know your survival number. Open your bank account and add up everything it costs you to live on for a year. So rent, food, gas, insurance, everything. Let's say that number is $25,000. Now I want you to double it. So 50K. Okay? That's your new sales number. Doubling it gives you some breathing room, helps cover expenses, gives you a margin of safety and a little bit of profit. Once you have that number, I want you to break it into 4 quarters like a basketball game. Most companies measure progress in quarters because 1 month isn't really enough to see an average or real pattern. So in video production, projects often take about 3 months from sale to deliver anyway, so it works out well for the sales cycle. If your annual goal is 50K, you need about 12 to 13 per quarter. That's only a handful of decent projects. So when you look at it this way, it becomes much more manageable and gives you some solid goals to attain each quarter. At the end of each quarter, ask yourself a simple question. Why? Did you hit your number? If you didn't, what actually caused the gap? Maybe you didn't sell enough work, maybe your prices were too low, maybe you didn't spend enough on outreach or networking or marketing. This first year, it's not really about growth, it's about learning how your business works. And most importantly, it's about seeing if you can consistently support employee numero uno, which is you, yourself. The first year is really all about reflection too, understanding yourself a little bit, what you really want to be and do, and what kind of filmmaker you want to be, and what kind of films you want to do and the stories you want to tell. You might even realize that your goal is absolutely not to build a team. That doesn't really match where you are as a filmmaker in your career, right? So you might enjoy being a solopreneur, and there's nothing wrong with that. I did a whole video on getting clarity on your goals so that you understand what you really want to build and what aligns with you in your soul. Some filmmakers love shooting and editing, and some have no desire to build a team. Hiring your first employee is a big leap in both responsibility and revenue expectations. It also starts to define what kind of career you have, whether you're the boss of many things or you're the best at one thing. So let's say you've done all that, you know what it takes, you want to do it, it excites you. When do you actually make your first hire? Well, in my experience, it comes down to 3 things, okay? You have hard numbers, soft signals, that's supposed to be a musical clef note for signals, I don't know, and pure self-confidence. This is supposed to be a muscle. Erase that piece of junk. So let's start with soft signals. Think about the past year and ask yourself whether you felt constant demand pressure. Were you always trying to keep up with the incoming work? Or were you bored half the time? How much work do you think you lost simply because you didn't have the time to pursue it? Did you have sales conversations that stalled because you were too busy executing projects, editing, shooting? All those things are signals, right? Like you feel it in your body when you feel pressure, when you feel that demand constantly coming in. Now let's look at some hard numbers. So if your goal was 50K, what did you actually make? Was it 80K? Well, that's a strong signal that your market can support more capacity. That might mean that 30K of revenue could go towards hiring help next year. You won't make exactly 80 next year, but again, we're looking for signals, signs that there is demand. Another indicator is freelance spending. So most production companies don't jump straight from solopreneur to having a full-time staff. There's usually a middle stage where freelancers can help cover the gap. So this is you, this is a full-time staff. Somewhere in here, you're hiring freelancers to help you cover the gap. That's like a bizarre alien smiley face. That looks like Stewie. That's so funny. Looks like Stewie from Family Guy. Anyways, this weird thing here is the gap. You're usually getting freelancers to jump in and take some projects off of your plate so that you can do the selling and stuff like that. Now, at the end of the year, just kind of add up how much you paid freelancers. So let's say at the end of the year, you were consistently paying freelancers about 30K, while you were also doing a lot of that work yourself. Well, that's a strong signal that there's demand and a full-time hire might make sense. Before hiring someone, you need to run the same survival math that you used when hiring yourself. Only this time, it's a little more important and the stakes are a little bit higher. The leap is a little bit bigger. Let's say the going rate for a full-time editor is 50K. Just making up a number. Okay? Well, for a full-time staffer, you have to add about 20 to 25% in employment taxes depending on your state. So now you're already at 62,500. Okay? Now you're gonna add equipment, like a computer, you've got some software. Anything else? Maybe you give them a bonus at the end of the year. Now you're probably closer to 73,500. Okay, that's a pretty significant increase. And what you're gonna do is the same thing that you did for your living situation, your survival number, which was 25K, you doubled it, right? We're gonna do the same thing for this position. So now your sales goal for this role is about 147,000 more than what you had before, okay? Add that to your 50K salary. Now you're knocking on a revenue goal that comes in closer to about, drum roll, 200K per year. And that's not meant to scare you, it's just meant to show you why the work, and especially the demand, has to come first, going back to the original question. So now we can answer the backbench politics question properly. Did I secure the contract first and then hire, or did I hire first and then go get the work? Hire or work? That's supposed to be an axe or maybe a hammer or something. The real answer is somewhere in between, the space between. It's part evidence, part instinct. So if you already have some contracts, that's evidence that people will hire you to do this work. And if you have more requests than you can handle, that's evidence that there's strong demand. Okay? So contracts plus pressure equals demand. All you got to do then is set a goal based on elementary school math, and the rest is up to that third thing we talked about before. Individual self-confidence, right? So $200K a year as a sales goal might sound scary, but do you feel like you can do it? Or is it a hard pass? Only you know the answer. Now the real goal. More employees isn't a badge of honor. A bigger company isn't the goal. In fact, a lot of times it's mo money, mo problems. The goal is truly a body of work that reflects who you are as a person and as an artist, and a business that's structured to go get more of that. So when your portfolio signals exactly the kind of filmmaker you want to be, the right clients start to find you, the right projects start to find you, and growth stops feeling like a constant chase, and you start creating your own demand. So I'm curious, where are you right now? Are you still a one-person shop, solopreneuring? Have you even hired yourself first yet? Are you still on TaskRabbit or Uber Eats? Thinking about your first hire, or maybe you're already running a small team and this is just helping you clarify a few things. Tell me in the comments. Maybe I can answer your questions in the next video. That's your weekend update.